Have you ever seen one of those Russian dolls? You have seen one? You know, like those identical looking wooden doll shapes that, I mean, they look the same, but they differ in size and swallow each other up from their bottoms. So, I mean, those guys remind me of a well-run business, well-run businesses in a way. Because the smallest doll could represent the entrepreneur, if you like, with all their ideas in the startup phase. Just that raw energy and maybe a pocket full of change. And then the next size doll represents the business now, as it is, finding its feet, eating into the market share in its industry. And then the next size doll represents the business with established standards, controls and systems in place to maximize the flowing resources. So you get the picture. So when your business is up and running, what is it you think about? What's your business model, and how do you think you can improve it to optimize the amount of money your company can make and the value it will have in the marketplace? I mean, it's just amazing how people don't really pay attention to their model on how they do business. And a lot of folks who even understand and know they have a business model, they probably have one or use one that was developed back in the past century, literally like in the 1900s. And the models today really can drive phenomenal revenue in business. I mean, most people, they don't have a sense of them. So what I'm going to try and do in this article is, if you like, is to give people a mindfulness about their business model and how they can structure that business model to make a whole lot more money than they do right now, and hopefully create a whole lot more profit and create a whole lot more sales value to their company when they sell it. And some of this is actually going to involve strategic thinking. Strategic thinking, well, it will kind of I'll put a little set of quotes around, but hopefully it will put a little hook in your brain. Strategic thinking, to just try and remember it for later. So for now, let's take the standard business model today, like what most people use when they think about their business model is they have a product or service and they sell that product or service or group of products and services. So they have this kind of model that says, okay, they buy it in and then they sell it to a customer for retail, and then they make a profit margin in between, and they have various costs of producing all of these things and in delivering that product. And then at the end of the day, they take those sales and they subtract their cost of doing business, and they end up with this thing called profit. So this model is very basic, pretty simple. So obviously it differs a little if you're a manufacturer versus if you're a retailer or wholesale business, but basically it's you bring stuff in and you get stuff out, and a whole bunch of things that happen in between. And you take the cost, you subtract it from your revenue, and that's the basic business model. So, well, I mean, that business model, there's this thing called customer acquisition. Okay, so in other words, you've got to acquire a customer in order to take what it is that you do and sell it to that person. Well, one of the most expensive and hardest things that you have to do in business is develop that customer and then build a relationship with that customer so that they become a repeat buyer. So the first part of an advanced business model, so we're moving towards today, is it's not just how you acquire the customer and sell them something. The next step of the business model is how do you build the relationship with the customer so you can have follow-on sales to that customer. So once you have built into your business model, the next step of the business model is going to be, well, how do I develop what's called a product cycle? Now, what is a product cycle? Well, a product cycle says that the customer comes and buys something from you. Let's call it a widget. Well, what can you produce? I mean, can you produce a bigger widget? Can you produce a fancier widget? Can you produce something that after they've bought your initial product, that do you have something bigger and better to now sell to that same customer? So remember, you've now acquired the customer. So you've all that acquisition cost built into that customer. What can you now do to upgrade that customer to a higher sales. Okay, so when you think about it, I'm going to have more profit, okay, in that second sale than I do in the first one, because I don't have all that customer acquisition cost. So you develop a product cycle of product to product to product, in a way of moving that customer on an ongoing basis into buying more and bigger and better things from you. So we've got that part of our business model, okay, drilling down into the customer acquisition. But now let's look at how we expand that business model even more. Let's look at the people who buy your widgets and your upgraded widgets. Whatever widgets they're buying from you, after they buy the widget, the chances are pretty good that once they get your widget, there are other products and services that they'll also likely buy, that these products either have something to do or something around your widget. So what I do is I now go out and I identify who those product and service providers are, and as part of my business model I set up what are called joint ventures, and those people, I set up joint ventures with those people so I can feed them the leads from my customers, because my customers are going to become good customers for their product and service. So I develop a revenue model for them. I endorse and move my customers into their product and service, and I develop what is now for me back-end revenue. So now I'm not only getting revenue on my core products, but I'm now getting revenue on things that my customers are buying from other people. But if I'm really smart, I don't stop there. I identify what customers buy, my customers, what they're going to buy before they buy my widget. And then I set up joint ventures with the people who produce those products and services, and I give them a piece of the revenue, my revenue, when their customer buys my product based on their referral, on my endorsed referral of that client or customer to me. So now I got joint ventures on the front end of my product, which help me sell more. I've got joint ventures on the back end of my product, which help me realize back end revenue. But you know, if you want to get smarter, you wouldn't even stop there. See, because if you take a little look around and you say, well, at the same time that the customer is buying my product or service, what else are they buying in the marketplace? So then you can then identify those companies and do cross-marketing joint ventures with them, where you not only promote them to your customer base, they promote you to their customer base, and in the end you both develop more revenue, both front end and back end, out of that model. So if you can get really smart with it, you know, you wouldn't even stop there. What you could do next is identify, or you could say, okay, someday I'm going to want to get out of my business and retire, and when that time comes, you're going to want to sell this business for the highest possible amount that you can. And so looking at who else is out there in your field, or in a related field that's a big company, you want to start to look at what their core business is. What do they do that's at the heart of their business? And it's useful to remember, if you're going to build something, you know, a lot of work is going to go into building it. So you may as well target your end result for something that will be of value to somebody who would be the logical buyer for your company. So for example, let's say you built this beautiful machine that had front-end revenue, back-end revenue, customer retention, and a customer enhancement program, and you got all these wonderful models built into the company. And there's some big company out there that is similar or aligned to your core business that doesn't have all that machinery, but they've got a big portion of what you do, and they do it, and they do it well, and they're big. Well, they might be the right company, for example, to target for your eventual exit from your business. So now when you go to them to have them buy your company, they're going to want it for two reasons. Firstly, the reason they're going to want your company is because you've built a wonderful profit machine that makes a lot of money. Okay, now it has a nice growth curve to it, and you'll command a very decent purchase price on the profitability and the growth trajectory of your business. But it doesn't end there, because now you're going to look at how, with the owning of your business, you can improve the core business of the company that's acquiring you. So now, if you'd understand how the dynamics of what you do can enhance their core business, you tap into the second value of your business, which is what you're adding to the core business of that buyer. So now you get the full value of your company as a standalone profitable entity, but now you're going to, in addition to that, get paid a premium for your business because of the contribution your business is making to the profitability of a company that's going to acquire you. So you win twice over, and now you have a sensible business model because you're optimizing every single aspect of how you build your business right through to how you exit. I mean, nobody says this was going to be easy, but you know, you really kind of, when you really get into it can be fun. So fun, just like playing with Russian dolls.